Hokage, the ninja who mastered Sage Jutsu to defeat the Ōtsutsuki. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 91, The Name of Sannin. The psychic beasts of the three Orochimaru people came from the three sacred places of Ryuchi Cave, Mount Miyaboku, and Shigu Forest. The 3 should have beaten Hanzo Sanshuyo. But the most deadly thing about a psychic beast like Sanshuyo is not its combat power, but the poison contained in its body. At the moment of being channeled, the Sanso fish directly opened its bloody mouth and sprayed out a highly toxic purple poisonous mist, which greatly affected the combat power of the three giant psychic beasts and brought the situation that should have been crushed into a stalemate. Take the antidote. Tsunade reminded, and then took the lead in drinking a tube of antidote. Orochimaru and Jiraiya quickly took out a tube of antidote from their ninja bag and poured it into their mouths. Although this Konoha special antidote can't make them completely immune to the poison of Sanso fish, it can minimize the impact of the poison. The psychic beasts on both sides were in a stalemate, and the battle between the three Orochimaru and Hanzo finally began. Latent Shadow Snake Hands. Orochimaru rushed towards Hanzo, and suddenly more than a dozen pythons rushed out of his sleeves and wrapped around Hanzo. The art of instantaneous body. When the python was about to wrap around Hanzo, Hanzo's figure turned into a ball of water and appeared behind Tsunade, slashing towards Tsunade with the chain sickle in his hand. Don't underestimate me. Tsunade's chakra concentrated on her feet and kicked the ground behind her with all her strength. My feet hurt. The moment the full blow hit the ground, there seemed to be a micro-earthquake in the surrounding area. The ground around Tsunade broke like a spider web, forcing Hanzo to give up the attack and jump away to avoid it. What a terrifying power. Hanzo sighed and dodged while throwing several kunai with detonating talismans attached to them. This powerful ninja with rich combat experience was trying to save Chakra as much as possible. Tsunade, be careful. Jiraiya reminded. No. Tsunade jumped out of the range of the detonating talisman, but the next moment a pool of water condensed into Hanzo's appearance, and the scythe in his hand cut towards Tsunade's back. Ninjutsu, Needle Jizo. Dozens of extremely fast white hairs shot at Hanzo like shurikens, forcing him to give up the offensive again and jump away behind him. But where he landed, dozens of pythons were already staring at him. Latent Shadow Snake Hands. The moment he was tied up by the python, Hanzo turned into a puddle of water again and successfully escaped. It's such a difficult teleportation technique. Orochimaru sighed with emotion as he took back the bamboo basket to fetch water, but failed. Your strength is very good. Hanzo appeared not far away from the three of them and said slowly. If any one of Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Tsunade faced him alone, he would be confident of solving it quickly. After all, the three people who are still in their youth have not yet reached their peak strength. Orochimaru's snake system ninjutsu has not yet been explored to its extreme, Jiraiya has not yet learned Sage Mode, and Tsunade has not yet developed the Yin Seal. But the three of them gathered together and relied on the tacit understanding and cooperation of many years to help each other. Even Hanzo, who had more combat experience and strength, could not defeat the three of them for a while. However, you have been defeated. Hanzo said calmly. When the three Orochimaru heard Hanzo's words, their expressions were extremely ugly, but they had to admit it. Their antidote was not completely immune to the highly poisonous Sanso fish. As they continued to inhale the poisonous mist, their reaction was already slower than at the beginning. They can temporarily suppress the toxins in the body, but if they continue to fight, not only the reaction speed will be slowed down, but the chakra will also be affected. You won't know the result until the end of the battle. Tsunade waved, even if we die here, we will never betray our comrades. Good. As expected of a disciple of the third Hokage. Hanzo praised, then come. Although his goal is to kill Asakawa Naoki and the others are now entangled by rain shinobi and cannot escape for a while, so it is better to defeat Orochimaru and the others first. The battle was on the verge of breaking out again. Not only did it not calm down due to the decline in status, but it became more intense. On the other side, Asakawa Naoki and the others were also locked in a bitter fight. Although there is a certain distance between the battlefields of the two sides, the poison of the Sanso fish has been blown here by the wind and waves of the battle. With the fire of essence, Asakawa Naoki can burn out the toxins inhaled in the respiratory system with almost no effect. But this is not the case for other people. Even if they take the antidote prepared in advance, their condition will decline very seriously. On the other hand, Rain Shinobi was little affected due to the gas respirator masks prepared in advance. If this continues, Kushina and Mikoto will be in danger. Asakawa Naoki made up his mind. Samadhi is really hot. Asakawa Naoki opened his mouth, and a stream of orange flames burned towards Rain Shinobi, but the Rain Shinobi who had seen the power of flames already had countermeasures. Water Style Water Turbulence 5. The 5 Rain Shinobi simultaneously used the Water Style Ninjutsu to suppress the fire, suppressing the scorching real fire of Samadhi. The moment water and fire met, white mist enveloped most of the battlefield. Asakawa, what did you do? A Konoha ninja couldn't help but said. This water mist will not only affect their vision, but also make Rain Shinobi, who is good at water style, like a fish in water mist, so they almost don't use fire style ninjutsu because they are worried about this situation. In the white mist, only the Hyuga ninja with the Byakugan was not affected. What is that? In the eyes of the Hyuga ninja, a very fast silver light flashed, followed by Rain Shinobi's screams, and the Rain Shinobi who were penetrated by the silver light fell down one after another. When the white mist dissipated, Rain Shinobi had reduced its number to more than a dozen people. The remaining few relied on their instinctive sense of crisis to dodge the flying swords, and there were some Rain Shinobi Jonin who were still in shock. What just happened? Not only Rain Shinobi, but even the Konoha ninjas didn't understand what happened just now. Only Namikaze Minato, Uzumaki Kushina, and Uchiha Makoto looked at Naoki Asakawa, who didn't speak, obviously guessing something. Shoo. Naoki Asakawa made a silence gesture to signal them not to talk. The sword-controlling technique performed by those at the peak of refining energy is indeed far more powerful than before, but it consumes a lot of energy. The mana in Naoki Asakawa's body is now only about half. However, after the successful attack just now, the situation here is basically stable. It's up to Hanzo and Orochimaru. Just as Asakawa Naoki was thinking, there was an explosion from another battlefield, and then 4 huge psychic beasts disappeared one after another in the smoke. Deal with them first. Naoki Asakawa looked at the surviving Rain Shinobi. On another battlefield, due to the effect of Sanzo fish toxin, although the injuries were not serious, Sannin could only support each other now. Hanzo, you deserve the name of a demigod. Jiraiya said with emotion. That's it? Orochimaru gasped. Damn it. Tsunade gritted her teeth. If she died here, her younger brother Naoki, and Asakawa Naoki, and other disciples who were still fighting at the rear might not be spared either. You 3 are indeed very strong, you can actually fight me to this level. Hanzo praised. We don't need your sympathy. Jiraiya shouted at Hanzo, but he received no response. Konoha should have won this war. Hanzo said, in order not to expand the war, I will let you live. As for you, you are indeed amazing. I, Hanzo, will call you Konoha Sannin from now on. Let's live a good life with this title. Episode 92, Let Me Distract the Demigods, solved. Namikaze Minato pulled out the kunai from the neck of the last Rain Shinobi Jonin, and warm blood suddenly spurted out. Under the siege of Konoha ninjas, and with the presence of powerful combatants like Naoki Asakawa, the last few Rain Shinobi were finally killed. We have to support my sister and teacher. Shinshu looked worriedly at another battlefield that had calmed down. I'll just go there, you stay here. Asakawa Naoki said. In the original work of Hokage, Hanzo saw that Konoha was about to win the war, and because he did not want to continue to expand the war, he did not kill the Sannin after defeating them. But the arrival of Naoki Asakawa was like a butterfly, flapping its wings, and causing a slight change in the whole world. He was not sure whether Hanzo would kill Orochimaru and the others. I'll go with you, at least I can help a little bit. Uchiha Makoto said, facing such dangerous things as demigods, she couldn't just sit idly by Asakawa Naoki. I'll go too. Uzumaki Kushina nodded. She couldn't just watch Asakawa Naoki die. My sister and the teacher are both over there. I can't watch my sister die there without doing anything. Naoshu's eyes were full of determination. In the battle just now, Naoki Asakawa deliberately protected these companions, leaving them almost uninjured and now in relatively good condition. Enough. Naoki Asakawa rarely looked at these companions seriously and said coldly, your strength is too weak. Facing an opponent at the level of a demigod, not only will you not be able to help the teacher, but it will actually drag us down. At least I know the teleportation technique. Even if I can't defeat Hanzo, I can still escape in time. Now, you guys have a good rest here, I'll be back soon. After saying that, Naoki Asakawa took a step forward, disappeared from the spot, and appeared dozens of meters away in the next moment. Seeing Asakawa Naoki disappear from the scene, Naoki wanted to catch up, but was stopped by a hand. Naoki is right, we are too weak to participate in this level of battle. Namikaze Minato shook his head. Naoki looked at Uchiha Makoto and Uzumaki Kushina. Although they were equally worried, they were obviously more aware of their own strength and had no intention of continuing to help. They could only pray in their hearts. Naoki, you must be fine. When Asakawa Naoki came to another battlefield, he found that the situation here was even worse than expected. The poison of Sanzo fish in the air was far stronger than that over there. Opposite Hanzo, who had his arms crossed and looked calm, Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Tsunade supported each other. Obviously, Konoha Sannin lost to Rain Shinobi Village, demigod Hanzo, and the loss was quite tragic. It seems that Rain Shinobi over there has been killed by all of you. He is indeed the rising star of Konoha. Hanzo said with emotion as he looked at Naoki Asakawa, who was coming. At only 11 years old, Asakawa Naoki can reach the level of the 3 Orochimaru who are in their 20s, although there is still some distance from a shadow-level powerhouse like Hanzo. But if he was given time to grow, Hanzo couldn't imagine whether Naoki Asakawa could become as terrifying a ninja as Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara. Naoki, go quickly. Orochimaru reminded anxiously, Hanzo's target is you. What Hanzo said just now, plus the fact that Hanzo's sneak attack at the beginning was Asakawa Naoki, how could Orochimaru now not see that Hanzo's target was Asakawa Naoki? I understand, Orochimaru-sensei. Next, let me deal with Hanzo. Asakawa Naoki looked at Hanzo, holding 2 kunai in his hands. After fighting Sannin with quasi-Kage level strength for so long, Hanzo's chakra must have been consumed a lot. Although Asakawa Naoki only has half of his magic power left, he still has 8 fairy beans, which can summon 8 fairy weapon clones with close to Jonin level combat power. Compared with physical clone techniques such as Shadow Clone, the biggest advantage of Sage Jutsu is that the beans are prepared in advance and do not consume mana. With the help of 8 Jonin-level immortal weapon clones, and the essence fire that can burn the Sancho fish toxin inhaled into the body, Asakawa Naoki might really be able to defeat Hanzo, who consumes a lot of energy. Of course, even Naoki Asakawa didn't have much confidence in defeating and killing Hanzo. After all, the water teleportation technique is also Hanzo's famous ninjutsu. Naoki, don't overestimate your capabilities. We are here to hold Hanzo down. You take Naoki and Kushina and the others to retreat. Tsunade shouted towards Naoki Asakawa. She wanted to take action but stumbled. Jirai next to her, he also quickly supported him. Tsunade, we can only trust Naoki now. Jiraiya gritted his teeth. Don't worry, I'm very strong. Asakawa Naoki turned sideways and smiled at the 3 of them. I admire your courage, but unfortunately, I will not let a ninja who may destroy the Rain Country grow up. Hanzo said slowly, took out a signal bomb in his hand, and launched it into the air with lightning speed. Not good. The moment he saw the flare, Asakawa Naoki realized something was wrong. He didn't expect that Hanzo, the demigod of Rain Shinobi Village, would be so cautious. After fighting Sannin, knowing that his condition was incomplete, when facing the fledgling Naoki Asakawa, he did not rely on any confidence and directly challenged him. Instead, he summoned his Rain Shinobi to prepare for a siege. Seeing the hundreds of Rain Shinobi who were summoned by the signal flares and rushed here, Asakawa Naoki no longer had the idea of defeating Hanzo here. Teacher, let me lure Hanzo away. Asakawa Naoki stepped forward and appeared directly in front of the 3 Orochimaru people using Shuchushin. You can take the rope tree and the others and flee back. But, Tsunade couldn't help but retort, how could Asakawa Naoki be able to deal with a demigod who couldn't even deal with the 3 of them? In the Land of Rain, if Naoki Asakawa is asked to lure Hanzo away, the outcome will be only 10 deaths and no life. The eyes of Orochimaru and Jiraiya were also full of the pain of choice. On one side was their disciple, and on the other side was their disciple. Think about Naoki, Kushina, Mikoto, and Minato. They are still waiting for you. Asakawa Naoki said softly, don't worry about me, I'm very strong and I will definitely return to Konoha alive. Okay, let's go. Orochimaru finally made his decision. This is the decision made by Naoki Asakawa. He cannot let down the decision of his most proud disciple. Well, don't worry, I will definitely come back. Asakawa Naoki said with a smile, you go quickly, I will give you a ride again. After speaking, Asakawa Naoki clicked 3 fairy beans and turned them into 3 fairy weapon clones that were exactly the same as himself, and controlled the clones to carry Orochimaru and the 3 people behind him. Wait, Naoki, this is for you. Orochimaru handed the Kusanagi sword to Asakawa Naoki. You must come back alive. Episode 93, Going Deep into the Kingdom of Rain. Don't worry, Orochimaru-sensei. Naoki Asakawa took over the Kusanagi sword. With the Kusanagi sword, he no longer had to worry about the weapon being cut off. Let's go, Naoki and the others are waiting for you. After Asakawa Naoki said, the three immortal soldier clones led the three Orochimaru people to where Naoki and the others were. Looking back at the back of Naoki, Asakawa, who was standing in front of the three of them, Orochimaru and the others didn't know what they were thinking. But the scene in front of them may not be forgotten in their lifetime. When the three disappeared from his sight, hundreds of rain shinobi also came behind Hanzo, as if they would rush towards Naoki Asakawa and tear him into pieces as long as Hanzo gave an order. Can you tell me why you have to kill me? Asakawa Naoki looked at Hanzo and asked. Because your talent is too strong. If you grow up, it will only bring disaster to the land of rain and even the ninja world. Hanzo said slowly. That's not necessarily true. Maybe I will bring peace to the ninja world. Asakawa Naoki said with a smile. The former Senju Hashirama also thought so. Hanzo recalled, the god of ninja brought the ninja world from the warring states period to the ninja village era, but peace has not yet come. It seems that it doesn't make sense. Naoki Asakawa said helplessly. Die. Hanzo threw a kunai with a detonating talisman, and then hundreds of rain shinobi followed Hanzo's movements and threw kunai with a detonating talisman at Naoki Asakawa. The explosion created by hundreds of detonating symbols instantly flooded a dozen meters around Naoki Asakawa, and the sound of the explosion could even be heard by Uchiha Makoto and others on the other side. There's something moving over there again. Naoki looked nervously in the direction of Asakawa Naoki. It should be Naoki and Hanzo fighting. Uchiha Makoto looked worriedly towards the direction of the explosion. Naoki, you must come back alive. Uzumaki Kushina clasped her hands together and prayed in her heart. Let's go quickly. A familiar voice came and the three Orochimaru, who were carried by the immortal soldier clones, came to everyone in Konoha. Sister. There are also Mr. Orochimaru and Mr. Jiraiya. Naoki said excitedly, and then asked a little worriedly, you are all back, where is Naoki? Orochimaru and the other three did not answer, but a celestial soldier clone under the control of Naoki Asakawa answered, don't worry, I'm holding rain shinobi away. You run away first. I'll find a way to come back. Let's go first. If we don't leave, Naoki won't be able to escape. Orochimaru said first. Orochimaru's thinking is quite clear. Naoki Asakawa is now holding Hanzo and rain shinobi for them. Only if they escape in time can Naoki Asakawa have a chance to escape. No. Some of the calmer Konoha ninjas nodded, and the three Orochimaru people also got off the back of Naoki Asakawa's immortal weapon clone. After resting for a while, the effect of the Sanzo fish toxin on them was a little lighter. Although they were unable to fight, they still had little problem in running away. Let's go, don't waste the time Naoki bought for us. Namikaze Minato looked at the somewhat stunned Uzumaki Kushina and Uchiha Makoto. Don't worry, I will definitely come back. Asakawa Naoki controlled the immortal soldier clone and said to the two women. You must keep your word. Uzumaki Kushina said with red eyes. Although Uchiha Makoto did not speak, under the huge emotional stimulation in his heart, the double Magatama Sharingan appeared automatically, and the two strange black Magatama slowly rotated around the pupils. As everyone in Konoha retreated towards leaving the country of rain, Naoki Asakawa felt a little relieved. He took a few steps and appeared dozens of meters away. Rain Shinobi's detonating talisman could not hit it at all. It's really convenient to shrink down to a small size. The next moment, a puddle of water appeared behind him, and then quickly appeared as Hanzo, and the chain sickle in his hand cut towards Asakawa Naoki's neck. I'm not afraid of my sword this time. Asakawa Naoki waved his Kusanagi sword to block behind him. With the sound of metal and iron clashing together, Hanzo was pushed back half a step by Naoki Asakawa's huge strength. What a powerful force. Is he really only 11 years old? Hanzo's eyes showed a bit of surprise. He didn't expect Naoki Asakawa to be so powerful. However, this also made Hanzo's determination to kill Naoki Asakawa more and more determined. It's time to go. Through the immortal weapon clone, Asakawa Naoki knew that the three Orochimaru people had led everyone in Konoha to escape from the Kingdom of Rain. In order to prevent Hanzo and Rain Shinobi from catching up, he had to take them to the interior of the Kingdom of Rain. Thinking of this, Naoki Asakawa waved his Kusanagi sword, forced Hanzo back with one blow, and then ran towards the direction of the Land of Rain. Shrink to the ground. With one step, Asakawa Naoki's figure appeared dozens of meters away, and with another step, he was hundreds of meters away from the Rain Shinobi. Want to escape? Led by Hanzo, hundreds of Rain Shinobi followed one after another, throwing shurikens and detonating charms at Asakawa Naoki as if they were free of charge, but there was nothing they could do about Asakawa Naoki's shrinkage. Your teleportation technique is indeed good, but how long can your chakra last? Hanzo followed Naoki Asakawa like a maggot attached to his bones, and from time to time, he struck Naoki Asakawa with a few knives to interfere with his pace. I'm very persistent. Asakawa Naoki took out a piece of medicinal material and swallowed it. Under the action of Samadhi true fire, the medicinal materials quickly turn into a large amount of essence, and then are converted into mana according to the meridian path of the basic chi refining technique. Fortunately, he brought the remaining medicinal materials and special military ration pills with him, otherwise he might really be consumed by Hanzo and these rain shinobi. If you replenish chakra like this, your body will be far worse than before even if you survive. Hanzo said slowly, relying on the power of the medicine to forcibly transform into chakra, which would greatly damage his own talent. Little did he know that Naoki Asakawa relied entirely on the fire of essence to digest and absorb medicinal materials, so there was no need to worry about side effects. Even between the rapid consumption and generation of mana, the wisps of mana that were originally like gas were gradually compressed and became more concentrated, with a tendency to liquefy. Unfortunately, the situation was tense at the moment, and Naoki Asakawa didn't have time to check. That's better than dying here. Asakawa Naoki continued to use the teleportation technique to escape deeper into the land of rain. Unknowingly, he became more and more skilled in shrinking into an inch. From the original step of tens of meters to one step, he can now reach hundreds of meters in one step. Far. If Hanzo hadn't been pestering him all the time, he could even have escaped directly by shrinking to a small size. But he couldn't escape now, he had to wait a little longer, otherwise Hanzo and Rain Shinobi would fail in their efforts to capture Orochimaru and the others. Fortunately, Hanzo's goal was firm and he was determined to kill the rising star of Asakawa Naoki. Asakawa Naoki's immortal weapon clone did not encounter Rain Shinobi. On the other hand, Naoki Asakawa, in order to hold Hanzo back, went deeper and deeper into the land of rain. Episode 94, Sword Escape. Asakawa Naoki's patience far exceeded Hanzo's expectations. I didn't expect that he could persist for so long relying on drugs. The Rain Shinobi army behind him all dispersed due to excessive chakra consumption, but Asakawa Naoki was still alive and well. As a last resort, Hanzo could only summon nearby Rain Shinobi to hunt down Naoki Asakawa with him. One day later, with the supplement of medicinal materials and military food pills, Asakawa Naoki's mana was still not exhausted. On the other hand, the pursuers behind him, except Hanzo who still insists on chasing, the rest of Rain Shinobi have changed several groups. However, this does not mean that Asakawa Naoki's situation is getting safer, but it means that his situation is getting more and more dangerous. After Hanzo realized that he could not kill Asakawa Naoki by chasing him, he began to mobilize the nearby Rain Shinobi to pursue and intercept Asakawa Naoki wherever he must pass. Several times, Naoki Asakawa was almost blocked by Rain Shinobi in front of him. Fortunately, he was very powerful in shrinking into an inch. With a speed of 100 meters in one step, Naoki Asakawa was able to avoid it in time every time. However, anyone with a discerning eye can see that Naoki Asakawa's end is coming. The medicinal materials on his body have been used up, and there are not many special military food pills left. But in the country of rain, fighting on Rain Shinobi's home ground, it seems that the only ending left for him is death. Fortunately, he still has a trump card. Having held Hanzo back for a day, Mr. Orochimaru and the others should have left the land of rain. Naoki Asakawa thought in his mind. Their target location at that time was a Rain Shinobi stronghold near the border of Rain Country. It only took them 2 days to get here from the Konoha stronghold. Now, with an emergency retreat, they should be able to leave the Rain Country in about a day. I'm almost finished with the special military ration pills. It won't be good if I continue to delay until the lamp runs out. It's time for me to escape. Asakawa Naoki couldn't help but look behind him at Hanzo, who was still chasing after him. He couldn't help but admire the perseverance of this demigod. He chased for more than a day without rest. Even Asakawa Naoki, who has the essence fire to assist in digesting essence and converting it into mana, couldn't stand it anymore, but he didn't expect that Hanzo could still persist. He is truly the demigod of Rain Shinobi Village. But it's time to say goodbye. Asakawa Naoki smiled and waved towards Hanzo, but Hanzo's pupils trembled slightly. Asakawa Naoki's ability to escape, using the teleportation technique several times to escape from the siege of Rain Shinobi, has shocked Hanzo, and even the demigods admire his strong perseverance. With the current action, Hanzo understood that Naoki Asakawa was going to use his trump card. Stop him. Hanzo said to Rain Shinobi behind him. As for himself, his chakra was almost exhausted, so he could only let his subordinate ranged shinobi take action. Yes. Several ranged shinobi formed seals to interfere with the surrounding space to prevent Naoki Asakawa from escaping when using space ninjutsu, while the remaining ranged shinobi used all their strength to use water-style ninjutsu to attack. Water-style water turbulence. Water-style waterfall technique. Water-style water dragon bullet technique. For a moment, Naoki Asakawa seemed to have come directly from land to the ocean. Goodbye. 2 flying swords flew out from Asakawa Naoki's sleeves, and then turned into 2 silver lights and rose more than 30 meters into the air, breaking through ranged shinobi's encirclement. The next moment, Asakawa Naoki's figure disappeared from the place and appeared in the air. Under his feet were the 2 flying swords. You didn't expect that I can fly. Ha ha. Naoki Asakawa, who was flying in the air with the help of sword control, let out a hearty laugh, which was very harsh in the ears of Hanzo and ranged shinobi below. After hunting for more than a day, they didn't expect Naoki Asakawa to escape like this, as if all their efforts in the past 2 days were in vain. But there is no way, in this ninja world where most ninjas cannot fly, being able to fly is an amazing ninjutsu. Even in the entire ninja world, there are not many flying ninjas. The only ones with the ability to fly are Inoki, Kuratsuchi, Deidara, Sai, Konan, 7 Tails Jinchuriki Kiid, 6 Tails Jinchuriki Yugao, etc. However, now there is another Naoki Asakawa who can fly with sword skills. Hateful. Hanzo looked at Asakawa Naoki flying in the air. If he were to let him escape back to Konoha, ranged shinobi village would be in danger when Asakawa Naoki grew up and developed a grudge against him. Water style, the technique of instantaneous body. After completing the seal in an instant, Hanzo's entire body turned into a puddle of water, and then appeared directly behind Naoki Asakawa, who was in midair. Don't try to escape. Hanzo swung the chain scythe in his hand and cut directly towards Asakawa Naoki's waist. If he really hit the mark, he would probably be cut in half. What a powerful teleportation technique. Asakawa Naoki also didn't expect that Hanzo really couldn't fly, but he could use the teleportation technique to forcefully jump dozens of meters to get behind Asakawa Naoki. It was too late to draw out the Kusanagi sword to deal with it, so Naoki Asakawa could only jump up from the 2 flying swords, letting his body miss Hanzo's sickle. Succeeded. There was a hint of pleasure in the success of his plan in Hanzo's eyes. The scythe that missed Asakawa Naoki was pulled by the chain that locked the scythe and cut directly towards the flying sword. Although Asakawa Naoki's flying ninjutsu is very wonderful, Hanzo believes that as long as he can destroy the 2 flying swords at his feet, his flying ninjutsu can be interrupted. As long as he can get him back to the ground, the surrounding ranged shinobi can surround him and kill him. But the imagination is beautiful, but the reality is very cruel. The harsh sound of gold and iron striking each other sounded, and in Hanzo's eyes, the flying sword that should have been cut off directly by the sickle only showed a trace of white marks. The quality of my flying sword is not bad. A smile appeared in Naoki Asakawa's eyes. The main body of these 2 flying swords is chakra metal that can conduct mana. Some hard metals were added by the craftsmen of the Uchiha clan, and they were quenched twice by the fire of essence. The quality far exceeds ordinary weapons. Although it may not be as indestructible as the Kusanagi sword, it is no worse than Hanzo's chain scythe. Get down. Asakawa Naoki kicked Hanzo hard, and Hanzo, who was in the air with no foothold to avoid, received a solid kick. His body began to fall rapidly, and when he was about to touch the ground, he used the teleportation technique to transform into a body. A puddle of water is immune to fall damage. However, Hanzo, who had transformed into a human form, looked at Naoki Asakawa, who was getting taller and taller. Even though he was unwilling to do so, he knew that he could not keep him after all. Not only is he extremely talented, but he can even fly ninjutsu at a young age. He will definitely be the enemy of ranged shinobi village in the future. It's a pity that I can't kill him here. I'm afraid I won't be his opponent in the next few years. Hanzo was filled with emotion. He thought that Konoha Sannin was already the representative ninja of the younger generation in the ninja world, but he didn't expect that there would be a more talented ninja in Konoha than Sannin. Is the Sage of 6 Paths really looking after Konoha? Episode 95, Breakthrough in Refining Chi and Becoming a God. Under the cover of the rain, Naoki Asakawa, who continued to raise his height using sword control, quickly disappeared from the sight of everyone in ranged shinobi. Hanzo-sama, what should we do next? Asked a ranged shinobi. Let the Kingdom of Rain enter a state of alert and mobilize ninjas to search nearby. Hanzo said slowly. But, we are still at war with Konoha. Another ranged shinobi asked. The war will be over soon, Hanzo whispered. The surrounding rain shinobi was silent. In this war with Konoha, they were ultimately defeated. In order to prevent the Rain country from suffering more harm, they can only surrender to Konoha in order to gain hope of survival. Naoki Asakawa, who was riding a flying sword, naturally didn't know what was going on below. He escaped from the tracking of Hanzo and Rain shinobi. Naoki Asakawa originally wanted to directly control the flying sword to catch up with Orochimaru and the others. Feijian was much faster than Orochimaru and the others who were carrying the wounded. If they moved forward at full speed, they might be able to reach Konoha before them. However, just when Asakawa Naoki was about to fly towards Konoha with his flying sword, the mana in his dantian began to surge. After holding Hanzo down for more than a day, Asakawa Naoki was not only mentally exhausted, but also mentally exhausted. With the help of the essence fire, all the medicinal materials and most of the soldier's grain pills on his body were converted into essence, which was then quenched into mana. During this process, Asakawa Naoki's mana, which had reached its limit, finally became overwhelmed and had a faint tendency to liquefy after being extremely compressed. Now that he has escaped from the dead, his mental strength is slightly relaxed, and the faintly liquefied mana finally begins to completely liquefy. At this time, Naoki Asakawa finally realized that he was about to break through. I didn't expect that the breakthrough opportunity that I couldn't find with all my previous efforts was here. Asakawa Naoki was slightly happy. Now that we are on the verge of a breakthrough, I'm afraid we can't rush back to Konoha. Let's break through first. After thinking for a while, Asakawa Naoki suddenly accelerated his flying sword, widening the distance between Hanzo and the others. He did not want to be disturbed during the breakthrough. After flying the sword for a while, and feeling that it was about the same, Asakawa Naoki rushed directly to a cave where he could hide from the rain. Signs of someone's life? Naoki Asakawa didn't expect that a breakthrough location he randomly selected would still have traces of human life, but after a casual glance, it seemed that he was not a ninja. At the moment, he doesn't know when the other party will come back. The mana in his body has reached a limit, and Asakawa Naoki can't care too much. Let's start breaking through. When the owner of this cave comes back, we can give him some more money to compensate him. After thinking for a while, Naoki Asakawa threw a fairy bean. If the opponent wanted to kill him, the fairy bean that sensed the killing intention would automatically transform into a fairy weapon and protect him with its weak self-awareness. The senbei fell beside him, and Asakawa Naoki finally began to break through with all his strength. Under the action of the essence fire, the originally soaked clothes and hair are quickly dried, and there is no need to worry about catching a cold due to the cold. Naoki Asakawa began to immerse all his mind in his dantian, controlling the mana to continue to compress. The gaseous mana that originally filled the dantian was converted into liquid mana. Although the total amount remained unchanged, the volume occupied was very small. Even if the dantian did not continue to expand, the total amount of liquid mana that could be accommodated was far more than the peak of the late stage of refining chi. Moreover, not only did the mana change, but the entire body of Asakawa Naoki changed at the moment he broke through the energy refining and transformed into a god. The meridians through which mana circulates are rapidly strengthening so that they can absorb spiritual energy and circulate more mana. His body strength also quickly became stronger under the nourishment of liquid mana, and it increased significantly after igniting the essence fire. At the same time, although from the outside, Naoki Asakawa's appearance has not changed much, it gives people a fairy feeling, as if he is not facing an ordinary person but an immortal. After breaking through the gas refining and becoming a god, I can finally absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Naoki Asakawa sensed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth around him, which is what the ninja world calls natural energy. When he first entered the refining process, Asakawa Naoki could sense the natural energy. Because during the period of refining chi, neither the meridians nor the dantian can withstand the violent natural energy, and can only rely on absorbing the essence in food to quench it into magic power. But after breaking through the refining energy and becoming a god, his body, both his dantian and meridians, were further strengthened. Finally, he no longer had to rely on absorbing the essence in food to quench weak magic power, but could instead absorb it directly from heaven and earth. Natural energy is quenched into mana. This not only means that Naoki Asakawa doesn't have to eat and drink like a hog like before, but more importantly, it directly absorbs natural energy and quenches it into liquid mana, which means that the power and battery life of Naoki Asakawa's Sage Jutsu are greatly improved. Now that I face Hanzo again, he is the one who should run away. However, in front of me now, Hanzo cannot escape. Naoki Asakawa sighed in his heart. The liquid mana of refining gas and transforming into gods not only crushes the gaseous mana of refining gas in total amount, but also far exceeds the gaseous mana in terms of power. Moreover, the most critical point is to break through the refining of chi and become a god. Divine consciousness. At the moment of successful breakthrough, Asakawa Naoki's mental power finally ushered in a transformation. The mental power that could only be seen within but could not leave the body was now finally able to leave the body and expand rapidly. 5 meters, 10 meters, 100 meters, 1000 meters. It was not until 2000 meters that the expansion of spiritual consciousness finally stopped. Of course, the coverage area of the spiritual consciousness is not a straight line of 2000 meters, but a radius of 2000 meters with Naoki Asakawa as the center. Within the scope of his spiritual consciousness, every bird and every insect appeared concretely in his mind. At this moment, Naoki Asakawa was like a cheating player in the game with a god's perspective. Not even small animals can escape his perception, let alone people. It is indeed the spiritual consciousness of a cultivator, it is simply the most perfect radar. This is much better than ninjutsu, the ninja's perception. With consciousness, Naoki Asakawa no longer has to worry about being stabbed in the back twice, like Uchiha Madara. Just when Asakawa Naoki was still adapting to his spiritual consciousness, two small figures in raincoats walked slightly from the distance towards the cave where Asakawa Naoki was. Is this cave their home? Where are the adults and their family? Asakawa Naoki did not continue thinking. In this unpeaceful ninja world, the number of orphans should not be too many, let alone the Rain Country, which is at the center of the Second Ninja World War. Children like this, who are not accompanied by adults, are most likely to be orphans. In fact, Naoki Asakawa, who traveled to Konoha, was similar. However, compared to the orphans from the Land of Rain, Naoki Asakawa's Konoha was not invaded. In addition, his parents still had a certain amount of pensions and savings, so Naoki Asakawa didn't. So tragic. Episode 96, Yahiko and Konan. Outside the cave where Naoki Asakawa was, two figures of about 5 or 6 years old slowly approached the cave. Oh, I didn't get any food today, so I'm going to be hungry again. A crisp male voice said with some disappointment. It doesn't matter. Let's go get it tomorrow. Just bear with it for today. A gentle female voice comforted. It would be great if we could become powerful ninjas. Ninjas will never go hungry. The male voice said, if we can become as powerful ninjas as demigods, I will definitely bring great benefits to the Land of Rain and the ninja world. Peace. Well, I believe Yahiko can do it, said the female voice. Not long after, the two of them had returned to the cave. After lighting candles to illuminate the dark cave, the two clearly discovered Naoki Asakawa sitting cross-legged deep in the cave, his eyes slightly closed, and still making a breakthrough. Konan, be careful. Yahiko with short orange hair blocked Konan with medium-long blue hair behind him and looked at Naoki Asakawa warily. Is he dead? Konan looked at Naoki Asakawa with some fear. Probably not yet. Yahiko replied as he took out a knife from his pocket to protect himself. There is still a big difference between the dead and the living. Under the light of the candle, Naoki Asakawa's chest moved slightly, and his body did not feel as stiff as the dead. He seems to be a ninja from Konoha. Konan said worriedly. In the eyes of the villagers of the Rain Country, the Konoha ninjas are the root cause of the chaos in the Rain Country. However, after the battle, there was not much difference between Rain Shinobi and Konoha ninja. Both of them did not regard the lives of civilians as their lives. I saw it. Yahiko's eyes fell on the Konoha forehead protector worn by Naoki Asakawa, and he couldn't help but swallow nervously. Although the sleeping Naoki Asakawa does not look like a bad guy on the outside, but makes people like him, the ferocity of the ninja cannot be judged just by his appearance. If Asakawa Naoki is awakened, the other party may kill them directly. Yahiko, why don't we leave? Konan said timidly. No. Yahiko said with determination in his eyes, we wait for him to wake up. But, what if he wants to kill us when he wakes up? Konan said with some concern. This is our best chance to become ninjas. Yahiko said, clenching his fists. It is very difficult for ordinary people to become ninjas, let alone in the Land of Rain. If the difficulty of becoming a ninja in Konoha is 1 star, then the difficulty of becoming a ninja in the Land of Rain is 5 stars. Therefore, even if Naoki Asakawa in front of him is a ninja of Konoha, Yahiko is not willing to give up. In the light of the candle, Konan saw the determination in Yahiko's eyes clearly, and stood behind Yahiko without continuing to speak. The light of the candle gradually ran out, so Yahiko went to change a candle and lit it again. Under this light, Yahiko and Conan felt that their stomachs were no longer so hungry, but their slightly nervous mood still continued. At a certain moment, Conan seemed to see Asakawa Naoki's slightly closed eyes move. Yahiko. Conan gently patted Yahiko's shoulder, waking up Yahiko, who was a little confused due to the long wait. He's going to wake up. Yahiko suddenly opened his eyes wide and looked at Asakawa Naoki, only to find that Asakawa Naoki had completely woken up. A pair of black eyes with a hint of aura just met the eyes of the two of them, as if he wanted to see through them. But there was no murderous intent in the black eyes, instead there was some curiosity and emotion. At this moment, Yahiko knew that they had made the right bet. When he woke up, he did not kill the two people snooping on the side, which shows that Asakawa Naoki is not a Konoha ninja who kills innocent people indiscriminately. However, I don't know why, Asakawa Naoki showed such a look when he saw them. Well, have we known each other before? Conan asked, curiously. The moment she saw Asakawa Naoki's flawless black eyes, she told herself in her heart that he would not hurt her. It's not that we know each other, it's our first time meeting. Asakawa Naoki smiled and shook his head. He also didn't expect that the hiding place he chose at random would turn out to be the refuge of Yahiko and Conan. Sometimes I have to lament that the ninja world is so small. Compared to Conan, Yahiko was more direct. He looked at Asakawa Naoki and said with burning eyes, "Master Ninja, please accept me as your disciple." As Yahiko said his request, Conan also looked at Naoki Asakawa with some expectancy and said, "Ninja-sama, please accept me as your disciple." It seems that Yahiko and Conan have not met Nagato yet. However, their desire to become ninjas has not changed. "Sorry, I can't accept a disciple yet." Naoki Asakawa said helplessly. He had only graduated from Konoha Ninja School less than a year ago, and someone actually wanted to become his teacher. Now his strength has reached the standard for accepting a disciple, but the key is that he doesn't know ninjutsu. Naoki Asakawa can't even refine chakra, let alone use ninjutsu. He can't even use ninjutsu himself, let alone teach his disciples. "Ah," Yahiko said with some surprise, "we will not dislike the teacher's lack of strength." "Well, as long as we can do it, we will do anything." Conan nodded and said. Naoki Asakawa doesn't doubt their determination. The key is that he really doesn't know how to do ninjutsu. Asakawa Naoki didn't know how to explain it, but fortunately Yahiko's hungry cry helped him out in time. "You guys haven't had a full meal in a long time. Eat something first." Looking at Yahiko, who was a little embarrassed, and Conan, who was a little embarrassed on the side, Naoki Asakawa took out 2 special military ration pills and handed them to them. "Thank you, Ninja-sama." The two of them took the Bing Liang pills without thinking and ate them directly. On the one hand, Naoki Asakawa didn't have to go to so much trouble if he wanted to kill them. On the other hand, even though it was just their first meeting, neither Yahiko nor Conan thought Naoki Asakawa was a bad person. Perhaps this is the importance of first impressions. "Is this the military food pill that ninjas eat? So strong," Yahiko said with some excitement. After taking a special soldier food pill, he felt as if he had eaten 2 or 3 bowls of rice in a row. Not only did his stomach feel full quickly, but he also seemed to have a little more strength. Conan said nothing, but his face, which was originally pale due to hunger, became rosier. The two of them were orphans since they were young, and they have survived basically relying on charity from adults and food obtained through petty theft. He often doesn't even have enough to eat, so naturally, he won't dislike the taste of Bing Liangwen like a ninja. "I still have military food pills here, but with your current physical condition, you can only take 1 at most a day." Naoki Asakawa smiled and handed the small half-pack of special military food pills he carried to the two of them. "If it is ordinary military food pills, you can take more. 1 of these special military food pills is more powerful than 3. For Yahiko and Conan, who have not yet become ninjas, they can only take 1 at most a day. As for Asakawa Naoki, after breaking through the energy refining and becoming a god, his magic power comes from the natural energy in the vast world, and he can live without grains. Naturally, he no longer has to eat as much as he did before. Finally, he no longer has to eat such unpalatable things as Bing Liang pills. Episode 97, Accepting Disciples. "Ninja-sama, you are so kind." "Thank you, Ninja-sama." Yahiko happily took the small half-pack of special military ration pills handed over by Naoki Asakawa. There were more than 30 pills at a rough estimate. 1 pill per person per day would be enough for him and Conan to not go hungry for half a month. "Ninja-sama, this is for you." Conan smiled and gave a white paper flower to Asakawa Naoki. Although it could not be compared with the value of the special military ration pills, it was a gift carefully folded by Conan. Thank you. Naoki Asakawa accepted the paper flowers and put them into his clothes. To be honest, if possible, he would quite like to accept the two of them as his disciples. It's a pity that he doesn't even have chakra himself, let alone teach other ninjas. Ninja-sama, what is your name? Yahiko looked at Naoki Asakawa expectantly and suddenly realized something. He should introduce himself before asking others for their names, so he continued, My name is Yahiko. My name is Conan. Conan also introduced himself. My name is Asakawa Naoki, and I am a Konoha ninja. Asakawa Naoki said. Naoki Asakawa, I seem to have heard of this name somewhere. Yahiko recalled with a frown. He likes to pay attention to the topic of ninjas. When he was a petty thief, he often listened to news about ninjas at the market in the Land of Rain. He had heard about some powerful people in Rain Shinobi, Konoha, and Sand Shinobi. Wait a minute, Konoha's Naoki Asakawa is the powerful ninja who is Jonin-level strength not long after graduating from the ninja school. Yahiko said excitedly. He finally remembered that although Naoki Asakawa was basically on the battlefield between Konoha and Sand Shinobi, his powerful strength still spread to the country of Rain. It's Naoki Asakawa? Conan also had a look of surprise on his face. In the market with the most news, it is rumored that Naoki Asakawa is a powerful ninja who can kill without blinking an eye. He is only in his early teens. In other words, the young ninja in front of him who looks 16 or 17 years old is actually only older than them. 5 or 6 years older. However, he seemed to be a very gentle ninja and even gave them food pills. Why was he rumored to be a cruel ninja who killed without batting an eyelid? In fact, there is nothing wrong with this kind of rumor. After all, for Naoki Asakawa, kindness to the enemy is cruelty to himself. Once he is kind to the enemy ninja, his teammates will be in danger. I didn't expect my fame to spread to the Land of Rain, haha. Asakawa Naoki said with a smile. He also didn't expect that he seemed to be famous. Even Yahiko and Conan knew his name. Lord Asakawa Naoki, please accept us as your disciples. Yahiko knelt on his knees and begged again. He finally met a powerful and gentle ninja. If he gave up this opportunity, it would be difficult to meet a ninja teacher who could accept him as his disciple in the future. Teacher Naoki Asakawa. Conan even called out his teacher's name directly, having experienced the hard years of wandering, and now the best opportunity to become a ninja was before them. How could they give up? Sorry. Asakawa Naoki said helplessly. Recruiting a disciple is not that simple. He doesn't have chakra. Kushina, Mikoto, Naoki, and teacher Orochimaru are all waiting for him in Konoha. If he wanted to accept them as his disciples, he would not be able to stay in the country of Rain and could only take them back to Konoha. But Konoha is not a good place, and the darkness in Konoha is not limited to Danzo. It's better to wait for Jiraiya to accept them as his disciples. Thinking of this, a picture suddenly appeared in Asakawa Naoki's mind. Because of his appearance, Yahiko and Conan failed to find Jiraiya, and finally died under the ninja's detonating talisman. This butterfly has caused so many impacts, can I really continue to follow the original future? Wait, maybe there are other ways. Asakawa Naoki suddenly thought of something. When refining the chi, he had no spiritual consciousness and could not control the external incarnation. Even if the materials for cultivating the external incarnation were ready, he did not refine it. But now that he has broken through the process of refining energy and becoming a god, it is time to refine his external incarnation. Konoha is not his only choice. He can completely control a country as the foundation for the future. Do you have paper and pen? Asakawa Naoki suddenly asked. Yes, teacher. Hearing Naoki Asakawa's sudden change of words, Yahiko excitedly called out his teacher, while Conan had already taken out a pen and paper. You guys try to refine chakra first. I'm going to cast a ninjutsu. Don't disturb me until I finish it. Naoki Asakawa wrote down all the chakra refining techniques and experiences left by his original parents in his memory and gave them to the two of them. Thank you, teacher. Yahiko and Conan excitedly received the chakra refining technique and immediately prepared to go to the other end of the cave to start ninja learning. In their opinion, this was a test left by Naoki Asakawa to them. Only those who successfully refine chakra in a short period of time can become their master. Wait a minute, let me explain it to you first. Asakawa Naoki suddenly remembered and said. Conan and Yahiko are both orphans in Rain Shinobi Village, so you may not be able to recognize all the characters he writes. Thank you, teacher. The two listened to the explanation carefully, and then obediently went to the other end to learn to refine chakra. Seeing this, Naoki Asakawa had a bit of a smile in his eyes, and then he calmed down and began to refine his external avatar. At the same time, Orochimaru finally led everyone in Konoha back to the Konoha front line. Under the protection of Asakawa Naoki's immortal weapon clone, no one in Konoha died on the way back, but there were many injured ninjas. Even if they managed to escape back to Konoha's front line, only a few ninjas could smile. Their lives were exchanged for Naoki Asakawa's life. Teacher Orochimaru, can we send someone to the Land of Rain to rescue Naoki? Naoki looked at Orochimaru, but Orochimaru looked at another person walking towards them. I'm sorry, I can't. Danzo replied coldly, I already know the process of your mission. You did a good job. Even when Hanzo appeared unexpectedly, there were not many casualties. As for Naoki Asakawa, who has been cut off, he is a hero of Konoha, and I will fight for a generous pension for him. Danzo-sama, Naoki is not dead yet. Uzumaki Kushina couldn't help but retort. Oh? Deeply trapped in the Kingdom of Rain, besieged by Hanzo and a large number of Rain shinobi, even Sarutobi Hiruzen would have a hard time coming back alive. With Naoki Asakawa's strength, he will definitely die there. Danzo's face was full of coldness. He didn't expect Hanzo to be such a waste and not leave the rope tree with him forever in the Land of Rain. However, it is a good thing to be able to keep Naoki Asakawa, a genius ninja, there, and there is no need to worry about him usurping his Hokage position. Even if he is still alive now, an ordinary Konoha ninja is not worth spending a lot of manpower to save. Danzo said with a gloomy face, as for you, you must know your identity and you will not be allowed to carry out dangerous missions in the future. Seeing everyone's unconvinced look, Danzo finally said, remember, you are Konoha ninjas, and ninjas must put their mission first. In order to complete the mission, sometimes the sacrifice of companions is necessary. Episode 98, 3 Magatama Sharingan, what is the point of becoming a ninja? For ninjas, is the mission really more important than companions? Naoki took off the Konoha forehead protector on his forehead, looked at the Konoha village logo in the center of the forehead protector, and for the first time he had doubts about his path as a ninja. If ninjas are just tools for superiors like Danzo to achieve their goals, then what is their purpose of becoming ninjas? Not only Naoki, but also teammates like Uzumaki Kushina, Uchiha Mikoto, Namikaze Minato, and Masamura Uki who have a good relationship with Asakawa Naoki all feel this way. Compared with those mature old ninjas who have been tempered by life and death on the battlefield, this group of chunin who have just graduated from ninja school are experiencing the death of those around them for the first time. For those old ninjas, it is very common for relatives and friends to die on the battlefield, but for this group of children who are only 12 or 13 years old, this is the first time they have experienced the feeling of parting from relatives and friends. Seeing that Danzo had left, Orochimaru looked at Natsuki and the others and whispered, when the three of us get better from our injuries, we will secretly sneak into the Kingdom of Rain to find Naoki Asakawa. As for you just recovering from your injuries on the front line, your strength is still too weak and you won't be of much help in the country of Rain. Whether as his proud disciple or the person who sacrificed his life to save them, Orochimaru naturally cannot ignore Naoki Asakawa like Danzo. After discussing with Jiraiya and Tsunade, Orochimaru prepared to accept a mission to the Land of Rain together after recovering from his injuries, and search for traces of Naoki Asakawa during the mission. Thank you, Orochimaru-sensei. Naoki said gratefully, and the other disciples of Sannin looked at the three teachers with a different light in their eyes and smiles on their faces. At this moment, Sannin's disciples were particularly united, and their relationship with the three teachers was much closer. In a sense, they are lucky to have such a caring teacher. Only the Whirlpool Kushina and Uchiha Mikoto had a somewhat forced smile on their faces, but their hearts became more and more eager for powerful power. If I can accept the monster in my grandmother's body, my strength should be able to catch up with Naoki. Uzumaki Kushina thought in her heart. Uchiha Mikoto, standing next to Kushina, felt a cold force lingering in his mind, and moved toward his eyes as time went by. I'm going back first. Uchiha Mikoto said and walked towards his cabin. You all should go back and recuperate. Orochimaru said to the others. Kushina, you have a good relationship with Mikoto. Go comfort Mikoto. We will do our best to deal with Naoki. Tsunade said to Kushina. I understand, Tsunade-sensei. Uzumaki Kushina nodded. When Kushina arrived at Mikoto's wooden house, she found that Uchiha Mikoto's black eyes had transformed into a double Magatama Sharingan full of bloodshot eyes, and the two jet black Magatama were rotating around the center of the pupil. Mikoto, are you okay? Kushina asked concerned. I'm fine, don't worry. Uchiha Mikoto smiled reluctantly at Kushina and shook his head. Ever since Naoki Asakawa died alone, various bad emotions began to appear in Uchiha Makoto's heart, which turned into nourishment for Sharingan and catalyzed the growth of the double Magatama Sharingan. It wasn't until Danzo opened his mouth that Naoki Asakawa was destined to die, that the bad emotions in Uchiha Makoto's heart finally burst out. Memorizing the feeling of opening the double Magatama Sharingan last time, she naturally knew what this feeling meant. Considering Konoha's attitude towards the Uchiha clan, it is certainly impossible for Uchiha Makoto to awaken the three Magatama Sharingan in public, so he left early. Your eyes. Uzumaki Kushina said with some hesitation. Makoto's appearance of awakening the three Magatama Sharingan was indeed a bit scary. The dark black Magatama in the Sharingan seemed to swallow her soul. Don't worry, it will be fine in a moment. Uchiha Makoto said breathlessly, and the two black Magatama in the Sharingan rotated faster and faster. At a certain moment, a new black Magatama appeared in the eye socket, with the pupil as the center, arranged in an equilateral triangle with the other two Magatama. Three Magatama Sharingan. The moment she looked at Uchiha Makoto of Sharingan, Uzumaki Kushina was stunned for a moment. She didn't expect that Makoto could awaken the three Magatama Sharingan at the age of less than 13. At the same time, in the cave of the Land of Rain, Naoki Asakawa's external incarnation had been refined for an unknown amount of time. From an embryo cultivated by the secret method of incarnation outside the body, it was catalyzed into the body that is close to 1.8 meters, which almost consumed all the mana of Naoki Asakawa. Fortunately, after breaking through the refining of gas to become a god, Asakawa Naoki can directly absorb the surrounding natural energy to quench mana, and the mana recovery speed is much faster than that of refining gas. It didn't take long for Asakawa Naoki's mana to be fully restored. Finally, the refining was successful. Looking at the body in front of him that looked 99% similar to his own, sitting cross-legged with his eyes slightly closed as if he was sleeping, Asakawa Naoki suddenly discovered a problem. Because his body was growing too fast, he hadn't noticed yet. Now he suddenly saw an incarnation that was almost exactly the same as himself. He found that his appearance seemed to be very similar to his previous life. Is it because my soul has affected my body? Naoki Asakawa thought in his mind. The external incarnation in front of me is slightly taller than the previous life, and the figure is also bullier than the previous life that did not exercise much. There are almost no differences. Is it because I took away my original body and my body is adapting to my soul? Shaking his head, Asakawa Naoki gave up thinking more deeply. He couldn't figure it out for the time being, so he didn't want to think about it anymore. There were more important things now. According to the cultivation method of the external incarnation, Asakawa Naoki extended his spiritual consciousness into the external incarnation, and then divided a part of his soul into the external incarnation. It's such a magical feeling. Although he is still him, still the same person, he senses the existence of another body. By the way, try to refine the chakra. Asakawa Naoki practiced according to the chakra refining technique left by his original parents, and successfully sensed the existence of mental and physical strength for the first time. With the fusion of the two, he was finally able to refine chakra. I didn't expect that after going around and around, I could actually become a ninja in my external incarnation. Naoki Asakawa sighed in his heart. The next moment, the newly refined chakra in the body quickly flows into the mind. No, to be precise, it should flow towards the eyes. What's going on? As a cold chakra flowed into his eyes, Asakawa Naoki felt as if his eyes were being burned. Opening his eyes, Asakawa Naoki saw the original body from the eyes of the external incarnation, and also saw the scarlet eyes of the external incarnation and the three black Magatama in them. Three Magatama Sharingan? Episode 99, A Powerful Incarnation. You actually opened the three Magatama Sharingan directly? Naoki Asakawa didn't quite understand. He used Uchiha Makoto's cells when cultivating his external incarnation. Being able to awaken Sharingan was considered as manifesting the unique genes of the Uchiha clan, which was an unexpected surprise. However, Sharingan's awakening always evolves from a single Magatama to a double Magatama, and finally, to a triple Magatama. Moreover, the Uchiha clan's ninja awakening Sharingan basically requires huge emotional stimulation. Asakawa Naoki's current calm state has no emotional impact at all. Is it because my spiritual power is too strong and the Yin style incarnate in my body is too strong, so I directly awakened the three Magatama Sharingan? After thinking about it, Asakawa Naoki could only think of this answer. After breaking through the chi refining god transformation, his spiritual power was transformed into divine consciousness. If we really want to compare, he is probably stronger than Uchiha Sasuke, who opened the Mangekyo Sharingan in terms of Yin style. Forget it, it's useless to think too much. Asakawa Naoki shook his head and began to study the three Magatama Sharingan. The effect of Sharingan is quite strong. In the three Magatama Sharingan's field of vision, with the help of weak candlelight, the external avatar can see everything in the cave clearly. Even Yahiko and Konan, who are still studying the chakra refining technique seriously on the other side of the cave, can see clearly. This is just static vision. The three Magatama Sharingan can play a stronger role in greatly improving dynamic vision in battle. Although in terms of vision, the three Magatama Sharingan is not as good as the divine consciousness from the perspective of God. But Naoki Asakawa discovered that even if there is no specific method of use, he can directly perform mental attacks through Sharingan. This should be Sharingan's Genjutsu. It's a pity that there are no enemies nearby to try it out. Naoki Asakawa studied the Sharingan, and then examined other aspects of the incarnation. The total amount of chakra incarnated outside the body seems to be quite large. According to Asakawa Naoki's perception, it is at least more than Sannin and Hanzo. It may be that the Uzumaki clan genes provided by Uzumaki Kushina or the Senju clan genes provided by Tsunade played a role. However, when Asakawa Naoki closed the three Magatama Sharingan, he tried repeatedly to open the Byakugan, but failed to open it. It seems that the Byakugan has not manifested, and the Hyuga family genes provided by Hyuga Goji have not taken effect, which is a pity. However, at least 2 of the 4 genes played a role, and Naoki Asakawa was already very satisfied. Try ninjutsu. Looking at Yahiko and Konan who were still studying the chakra refining technique seriously, Asakawa Naoki did not interrupt, put the combat uniform of his jacket on the naked body avatar, and then quietly went outside the cave with the body avatar to test ninjutsu. Although he has not been able to practice ninjutsu until now, he has kept all the ninjutsu training methods in his mind from ninja school to the present. Let's start with the easiest one. Clone technique. Wei Seeing. As the 3 seals were formed, chakra also operated according to the context taught by the teacher. An identical figure appeared next to Asakawa Naoki's external incarnation. It was difficult to see the flaws with the naked eye. Next is the transformation technique. Not yet. With the use of the transformation technique, Asakawa Naoki's external incarnation directly turned into a stone. Okay, continue. Asakawa Naoki began to experiment with all the ninjutsu he had memorized from his days at the ninja school, and used them one by one through his external incarnation. Water style, water dragon bullet technique. I don't know how long it took, until Naoki Asakawa's outer body made a growling sound from his stomach. Naoki Asakawa finally stopped moving. I didn't expect that my external incarnation would be so strong. Asakawa Naoki said with emotion. Among the ninjutsu mastered by Naoki Asakawa, except for the shadow clone technique given to him by Hiruzen Sarutobi, the 3rd Hokage, which could not be used successfully, other ninjutsu, whether given by Orochimaru, or from Sand Shinobi and Rain Shinobi through the soul-searching technique, could not be used successfully. The ninjutsu obtained in the mind can be successfully cast in one external incarnation. Even A-level difficulty ninjutsu and the external incarnation can be learned successfully in one go. As for the more difficult S-level ninjutsu, Asakawa Naoki doesn't have any now. Orochimaru will not give such a difficult ninjutsu, and the ninjas he searches for souls don't have any in their minds. It should be said that I was too mentally strong to succeed in one attempt. Naoki Asakawa summed it up in detail. Because the mental power is strong and the control of the chakra is more precise, it can be successful. After testing so many ninjutsu, the chakra incarnate outside the body was not exhausted, but I was hungry first. As expected of the Uzumaki and Senju clan, the amount of chakra is really not limited. Moreover, the external incarnation actually possesses the chakra of the 5 properties of wind, thunder, earth, water, and fire at the same time. Almost all ninjutsu can be used. It's a pity that I'm not very proficient in forming seals now. If I can keep up with the speed of forming seals, with this huge amount of chakra, and the blessing of the 3 Magatama Sharingan, I'm afraid my external incarnation will also have shadow-level strength. In this way, the next plan will be much smoother. Asakawa Naoki chuckled in his heart, and then turned to look at Yahiko and Konan who had appeared at some point to peek. Have you seen enough? Naoki Asakawa smiled. Teacher. You are so strong. Yahiko said excitedly. Naoki Asakawa's external incarnation test ninjutsu just now made a lot of noise. Yahiko and Konan, who were still seriously studying the chakra refining technique, sneaked out and watched Naoki Asakawa's ninjutsu from almost the beginning to the end. But why are there 2 identical teachers? Konan asked with some curiosity in his eyes. This is my clone. Naoki Asakawa explained casually, then looked at the two of them and asked, "How is your chakra refining going?" "Konan has refined chakra, but I haven't yet," Yahiko said a little embarrassed. "Konan is very good, Yahiko, don't worry." Asakawa Naoki touched their hair and said with a smile. He already had an expectation for this result. Among the Hokage, among the trio of Yahiko, Konan, and Nagato, the one with the best talent is naturally Nagato, who has the physique of the Uzumaki clan and the Rinnegan eye, followed by Konan, who independently developed the secret technique of paper escape, and finally Yahiko. Compared with Nagato and Konan, Yahiko's ninja talent is indeed not strong. There is no special blood inheritance limit and no secret skills. Ninjutsu seems to only know water style. Compared with Nagato, whose strength has reached the Super Shadow level, and Konan, whose strength has reached the Kaguya level, Naoki Asakawa feels that even if Yahiko did not die under the conspiracy of Hanzo and Danzo, he might not have the strength of the Kaguya level until the later stage. However, compared to the powerful Konan and Nagato, Yahiko is stronger in his strong heart and unwavering ideals, otherwise Yahiko would not have become the leader of Akatsuki. "Thank you, teacher." Feeling the touch of Naoki Asakawa, the two of them felt an unspeakable sense of security for the first time in this war-torn ninja world. "That's it for now, let's go eat first," Asakawa Naoki said with a smile. Episode 100, Repayment. Using his spiritual sense to explore the location of the surrounding villages, Asakawa Naoki immediately joined his external avatar, holding a child by the collar, and appeared 100 meters away with light steps. Naoki Asakawa naturally used the shrinking technique, while his external incarnation used the teleportation technique taught to him by Orochimaru. Not long after, Asakawa Naoki took Yahiko and Konan to a small market. "Teacher, your speed is so fast," Yahiko said excitedly. "Don't worry, you will be so fast in the future." Asakawa Naoki and his avatar put Yahiko and Konan down, and then led them towards the market. "Just pick whatever you want to eat." Naoki Asakawa looked at the two of them and said with a smile. "Thank you, teacher." There was a bit of suppressed joy in the eyes of Yahiko and Konan. They had nothing to rely on before and could only rely on scraps to survive. If you want to eat something good, you have to steal it. If you are discovered, you will be beaten severely. Now, after having a teacher, they can finally eat on the table in an upright manner. "How dare you two little thieves come back?" A fat-headed, fierce-looking man holding a rolling pin was about to hit Yahiko and Konan. The two instinctively held their heads and crouched in defense. In the past, when they were caught stealing food, they would do this to minimize the damage to their heads. But today, the rolling pin did not fall on them for a long time. Instead, it was held by a slender white hand, preventing it from being knocked down. "Sorry, my disciple once seemed to have stolen some food because he was hungry. I will make up for the difference," Asakawa Naoki said slowly after blocking the rolling pin. "Are you their teacher?" The man glanced at Naoki Asakawa. He didn't pay attention to this tall man just now, because he wanted to drive away the two thieves. "That's right." Naoki Asakawa nodded. On the way to the market, he took off the Konoha forehead protector and put it away without worrying that the man would know his identity. "Since you are their teacher, it is no problem for the teacher to repay the debts owed by the disciples." The man stared at Asakawa Naoki's black eyes and said slowly, "However, they have stolen from me several times. If they repay me, it will be at least 10,000 taels. We didn't take that much at all." Konan couldn't help but want to retort, but Naoki Asakawa stretched out his hand to stop him. "Okay." Asakawa Naoki simply took out a 10,000 tael silver note from his arms and handed it to the man, and then said, "If the money and goods are cleared, you are not allowed to pester my disciples in the future." Okay. The man's voice was trembling. He just quoted a random price, thinking that Naoki Asakawa would bargain, but he didn't expect that he would be so generous. The moment he received the money, he was excited, but the next moment he felt like he was falling into an ice cave. Anyone who could make such a generous move must be either a rich businessman or a powerful ninja. Asakawa Naoki's tall figure does not look like a pampered businessman, but more like a powerful and dangerous ninja. Because he offended a dangerous ninja because of 10,000 taels, he felt that the banknote was a little hot to touch. After the fat man with big ears spoke out, many onlookers quickly gathered around him. After all, watching the excitement is one of the nature of human beings. And after Asakawa Naoki actually handed over 10,000 taels of silver notes to the man, many onlookers suddenly became jealous. "My lord, your disciple also owes me money. And me, they also stole things from my store." "Yes, I remember very clearly that they also stole from my store." Conan and Yahiko looked at the crowd around them. They felt aggrieved and didn't know what to say. The tears in their eyes could not help but shed. The two people who lost their parents since childhood did steal a lot of food in order to survive. But they can guarantee that they never stole so much. If it were normal times, being caught stealing would just result in a beating. But in front of the teacher, they really don't want to be regarded as that kind of despicable thief by Naoki Asakawa. Don't worry. Naoki Asakawa touched the heads of the two disciples and comforted them softly. It is actually quite difficult to survive in such troubled times as the ninja world, so he will not criticize them harshly. I will pay double the debt owed by my disciples, Naoki Asakawa said, changing his tone, and then said, but those who want to fish in troubled waters should be careful if they take their lives and lose their lives. When Naoki Asakawa's voice fell, the people collecting debts around him felt a chill in their hearts, feeling that there was suddenly a huge amount of pressure in their hearts. In an instant, most of the scammers in the name of debt collection retreated, and the few scammers who were prepared to persist to the end also suddenly woke up after looking directly into Asakawa Naoki's eyes. Ninja, absolute ninja. Except for those who wanted to cheat money, in fact, the food Conan and Yahiko stole was not that much. Even if they repaid it in double, it only cost Asakawa Naoki less than 100,000 taels in banknotes, which was not compared with the money he spent to buy medicinal materials. Worth mentioning. However, looking at the two people who were moved to tears, Asakawa Naoki smiled in his heart. Okay, stop crying and eat quickly. Asakawa Naoki said with a smile, if you cry again, the food will be stained with tears. It's not hard at all, the teacher is lying. Conan said with a smile and tears while eating the meal. Yes, this is the best meal I have ever eaten. Yahiko cried and laughed. At this moment, the two of them felt as if they were going home. Okay, let's eat quickly. After that, I'll take you to buy some clothes. Asakawa Naoki said with a smile. Asakawa Naoki, who has made a breakthrough in refining chi and becoming a god, can feed on natural energy, does not need to eat. He has reached the state of fasting and just satisfies his appetite. However, his external incarnation is just like ordinary people and needs to eat food to replenish energy. At this meal, Yahiko, Conan, Asakawa Naoki, and the Avatar were all full. The four of them turned to the other end of the street and found a shop selling clothes. Naoki Asakawa chose a less conspicuous black suit for his avatar, and also bought a raincoat and a cloak to cover his appearance. After finishing picking out his avatars, under the expectant eyes of the two little ones, Asakawa Naoki picked out new clothes for Conan and Yahiko like an old father. The two people who had been wandering were still wearing old clothes discarded by others, which were not only shabby but also somewhat ill-fitting. Sorry, my vision may not be very good. Naoki Asakawa looked at Conan who was wearing blue clothes and Yahiko who was wearing black clothes and said, if it was Kushina and Mikoto, they should be able to pick out better-looking clothes. Teacher has a good taste. Conan said with a smile. Conan is right, the teacher has the best vision. Yahiko nodded in agreement. Haha. Asakawa Naoki said with a smile. It seemed good to accept Yahiko and Conan as his disciples. But the next moment, Asakawa Naoki's eyes suddenly turned cold, and the two flying swords in his sleeves seemed to span hundreds of meters in an instant like two rays of silver light.